Okay, Alexander, let's talk about corruption in Turkey and corruption. This is an interesting story. How about a crime boss who's created a YouTube channel out of what appears to be his home and his apartment in Dubai, and he's pretty much just exposing all the dirt of the Erdogan government. And the person I'm talking about is this crime mafia boss figure named Sedat Peker. He has this YouTube channel. He's done about 5 videos when I checked it out. And the videos, my God, they're getting like 5 to 10 million views each video. And I don't understand what he's saying, but he's just sitting at a desk and he seems like he's having a good time. But from what I understand, reading many articles that you sent me, he's pretty much just dishing out all the dirt on the AKP and Erdogan's political party and all of the people in and around Erdogan and in the government who he has had a connection to. This is well documented. He has been not only a mafia boss, but he has been a political insider. So, there is a connection with him to the Erdogan government. So I guess, once again, I don't understand what he's saying, but reading many of the things that are being described in his YouTube videos, he had a lot of inside information on a lot of these political figures. He was friends with a lot of these political figures. I mean, real party higher ups and real government official higher ups. And some of the dirt is bad. I mean, we're talking about, corruption, kickbacks, money laundering, but we're also talking about murders and RAPEs. I don't want to say the word because of YouTube's algorithms, and it's quite stunning. I mean, family members taking advantage of women and doing terrible things and then committing murders. Anyway, really shocking stuff, and it's actually quite difficult to talk about it. Some of the stuff that this guy is saying, the Erdogan government or people linked to Erdogan are doing. But look, the videos are massive. I mean, we're talking literally, Alexander, 5 million views per video, and the comments are in the thousands. So there's no doubt that this figure has caught the attention of the Turkish population, and I imagine the world. What do you make of this story?
Absolutely. I mean, that's the key point. I mean, these videos are gaining traction. Now, I can sometimes be a little bit cynical about some of these viewing figures, but I gather from people in Turkey that this is indeed gaining huge amount of traction there. And that for me is the key part of this story. Now, I am not able, obviously, to independently corroborate many of the allegations this person is making. And it's important to remember that he's a crime boss, and perhaps a crime boss is not, by definition, the most reliable source for anything. But the fact is, lots and lots of people believe it. And in some ways, I don't find that at all surprising, because if you look at the last couple of years of Erdogan's government, in a way, it's been a puzzle why corruption allegations have not risen to the surface in any really significant way up to now, because there seems, on the face of it, plenty of material to suspect such things. After all, Erdogan's government essentially is heavily involved in a massive support for the Turkish construction industry. And we all know that construction industries all around the world tend to attach themselves to all kinds of funny money and strange people. It's almost guaranteed for that. There's also been a large amount of trafficking of all kinds of substances, again using very careful language, but we know about this. It goes through Central Asia, it passes through Turkey. Again, this kind of thing is well documented. All you need to do is to go to the relevant police and international reports to see that. There was that major scandal back in 2015 when Vladimir Putin came along to a G20 meeting, provided all the satellite photos which showed the oil trade from ISIS-controlled Syria that was passing through Turkey and he implicated, Putin did, members of Erdogan's family in that episode. Didn't say that directly, but Russian intelligence and the Russian military actually staged a press conference in which they said so, quite straightforwardly. And of course Erdogan himself has a very, shall we say, pharaonic lifestyle. He's got a huge residence in Ankara and an enormous salary. So, put it all together, it's a puzzle that this hasn't come together before in quite the way that it has now. And the fact that it's gaining traction in the way that it is and people are talking about it to the extent that it is, I think is a reflection of two things. Firstly, I suspect it relates to people's actual experiences of everyday life. I mean, one of the reasons why the Navalny allegations in Russia didn't gain traction was because most people, their life experiences tell them that these stories are fantastical and have no real connection with reality. With Turkey, on the contrary, I think that these allegations, even if one can't actually say specifically whether they're right or wrong, they correspond with what most people in Turkey are experiencing. And of course, it comes at a time when Turkey is in growing economic difficulties, when many Turks are experiencing extremely difficult conditions in their everyday lives, and when Erdogan's popularity across the country is plummeting. His opinion poll ratings are, I think, the worst they've ever been. He's lost electoral control of the big cities, and he is finding that he is politically, at the moment, in free fall. So, in a sense, these stories are both a sign of his political weakness, the fact that people are no longer so afraid of him, that they're prepared to come forward and start to say these kind of things and to circulate them within Turkey itself, which is a sign of his weakening control. And at the same time, there's also an indication of the fact that people across Turkey are becoming increasingly convinced that the government of Erdogan is no longer what it originally promised itself to be, a government that would clean up Turkey and make it economically strong and give Turkey and the Turkish people the kind of stable political institutions that the Turkish people, like people everywhere, want to have. So I think it brings all of these things together, and I think it is a threat to him. I think he has never been challenged more clearly than he is now, certainly at the popular level.
Okay, I've got a lot of questions about this story. I'm a little bit skeptical as to what's going on. Okay, so Erdogan, we do know that Erdogan has been involved in a lot of corrupt and shady things. We know about for example, the oil in ISIS, supporting ISIS, all that stuff. We know what was going on there. He's had a lot of corruption problems with his son. He's had corruption problems in the banking sector with his son-in-law, who kind of just disappeared. There's been allegations with a connection between Erdogan, the Turkish bank, and the Trump administration as well. I mean, there's been a lot of stuff in and around Erdogan. We definitely know that there are some things that he has done which have been absolutely terrible and absolutely corrupt. And once again, I'll point to the oil in Syria. And of course, you get to Merkel, the refugees, the migrants, all that other stuff that he's been involved in. But I come down to a more basic question. The first question that I have for you is, from what I understand, these videos are freely available on YouTube in Turkey. Now, Turkey is notorious for banning social media. I mean, they do it like that. They have no problem banning social media. So I wonder, how come they haven't banned these videos in Turkey? From what I've read, the people that are being accused are having debates with this guy, with this crime boss, openly. I mean, they're actually engaging with him, which is very odd. Once again, Turkey is not exactly the most free speech country in the world. And if they wanted to, they could easily just, shut all this stuff off. My second question that I have towards you, which makes me very skeptical about this, is we all know that big tech and social media love to clamp down on accounts that they feel are violating their terms and conditions. I would imagine a mafia crime boss talking about a government and hurling accusations at that government, which involve various activities which would, without a doubt, go against the terms and conditions of a YouTube, would most certainly be censored, deplatformed, and banned by big tech. But big tech is not doing anything. YouTube is not doing anything. They're also letting these videos not only run freely, they're letting these videos gain a lot of traction and a lot of momentum. I mean, 5 million views. Okay, there's organic growth, but there's no doubt that YouTube is getting these videos out there. They're getting it on the suggested, pages and on the home page for many people in Turkey to see. We also know there's a connection between big tech, Google, YouTube, and the deep state of the United States and the surveillance state. And we also know that they've been itching to get Erdogan out. So maybe this is a soft power play. I mean, I don't know. This whole thing is very strange. Maybe this guy is a deep state asset. Once again, I don't know. And I'm not a fan of Erdogan, but this does raise a lot of question marks why all of this is allowed to go on, both from the Turkish part, from the Turkish government part, from the YouTube big tech part. It's very, very weird.
Well, it's not weird at all. It's very straightforward, actually, and you've answered your question. The reason these things are circulating in Turkey, within Turkey, the reason there is no action being taken against them in Turkey, it is because many powerful people within the Turkish establishment want this to happen. They are supporting them. They are being facilitated in Turkey, and that is another sign about how Erdogan's control is slipping. Clearly, this person didn't start doing this out of nothing. He has been put up to do it. I mean, to me, that's blindingly obvious, and has been put up to do with it by people, obviously, in Turkey who are looking for ways to shuffle Erdogan off. And of course, he's been put up to do it by people outside Turkey. And this is exactly where the whole point about YouTube and all that comes in. We are not able to mention a certain word. This person talks about it incessantly on a video that has 5 million views. I mean, that tells you everything you need to know and understand about this. If we went around making the kind of allegations that this person is making, we wouldn't be here. We wouldn't be able to do that. Not that we've ever had any such inclination to do any of these
We'd be obliterated.
We'd be obliterated. But bear in mind, this character, the things he's saying, completely uncorroborated. And yet he's being allowed to say it. I mean, he's been able to pour all of those things, which is a clear indication that Erdogan is in serious trouble. His grip on Turkish society is faltering. His popularity in Turkey is plummeting, and there are forces assembling in Turkey itself which are working towards his removal. It's the only conclusion you can draw from this. And those forces are getting support from all the usual people in the United States itself. And again, we don't have to guess very far or very hard or very far as to who those people are. So he's living through, for himself, very difficult, very dangerous times. He's still got some cards to play, but I don't think he's ever been in greater danger politically than he is at the moment. And the fact that these videos are circulating in the way that they are is an indication of this. We will see what he does, and we will see how this thing plays out. But personally, and this is not a prediction, if we were to see the troops out on the streets again before very long, I would not be surprised.
I'm listening to you and doing my research on this story, and I'm just thinking this is a type of soft power regime change. I mean, remember we had the Twitter revolution way back, the Arab Spring and the Twitter revolution, or the Twitter regime change, whatever it was called. I mean, in a way, this is kind of like a YouTube, regime change, soft power regime change thing, because, like you said, there's a reason why all this stuff is being allowed to play out. I mean, it's clear as day.
Absolutely. I mean, these, as I said, these things don't come. I mean, what drove this person suddenly to get into his apartment in Dubai and start pouring out this material? Well, I mean, as I said, he's been put up to it. I mean, I don't have any doubt about that. And somebody's been busy promoting it, and promoting it very hard, both in Turkey and outside. And they're making sure that as many Turks as possible are able to see it, which suggests that within Turkey, I mean, let's just unpack it a little. I think we can. Within the police and law enforcement agencies, and within the courts and the intelligence and security services, they are tolerating this thing. I can imagine Erdogan at the moment shouting and angrily and denouncing and saying, take this thing off, and nothing is happening because they're all acting to let this thing continue. And he probably wants to sack these people, and they're resisting being sacked. That's the kind of place that Turkey is. And in Dubai, where the Americans have a significant presence, let's put it like that, and which is also in a country very closely aligned with Saudi Arabia, a country which is not friendly to Turkey for all kinds of reasons, or at least not friendly to Erdogan, I should say. Well, all this material is now also pouring out, and it's pouring out for a reason, because more and more people have had enough of Erdogan. They're becoming utterly exasperated by the way in which he constantly maneuvers and plays countries off, great powers off against each other. They sense that his popularity and his support with the Turkish public is now collapsing, and they're making their move. And yes, this is the kind of soft power, colour revolution scenario. It failed completely in Russia over the course of this year because the Russian government is on a completely different level of strength. It's also acting now to rein in these channels. I mean, it's forced Twitter to make all kinds of concessions, and it's apparently now coming after Google as well. Another story for another day. But it's proving to be extremely effective in Turkey itself.
Yeah, it's an interesting tactic. I'm glad you brought that up, because Navalny tried to do the same exact thing. He sat at a desk. He talked about this palace in Sochi, and then he supposedly had all this treasure trove of information on corruption in the Russian government and in and around Putin. And the video got promoted heavily on YouTube, but there wasn't a follow-up, and there wasn't interest, and there was a lot of cynicism. This is the reverse. This one, you're seeing many videos put out in succession, and there's a lot of interest. And from what I gather, once again, there isn't cynicism, but there's more curiosity from the public. Give me more. What else can you tell us about the inner workings of the Erdogan government? What does it tell you that Erdogan can't just switch off the YouTube IP in Turkey? What does that point to? Does it point to the fact that even his own government officials, for example, his communications agency, his communications ministry, is starting to not listen to him? I mean, I don't know. I'm curious why he just doesn't, communications minister, shut off YouTube. No YouTube in Turkey.
Right. There are two theories about this. There's one theory, which is that he's biding his time and that he's intending to do this thing. And what he's doing is he's playing a waiting game. He's done this before. He's playing a waiting game, letting these stories circulate for a while, seeing who responds to them, identifies his enemies and comes down and basically smashes them. He's done that before. It wouldn't be entirely out of character. I think this has gone too far myself for me to believe that. The more likely theory is exactly the one you said, that the levers of power are not responding to his control in the way that they once did. So his communications agency is not doing the things he's asking it or telling it to do. And he's finding it increasingly difficult in a situation where all the political class in Turkey sense that he's getting weaker, and where their confidence in him and in his judgment has faltered, they are becoming increasingly unwilling to obey his instructions and to perform his will. So this could be, I mean, it's important never to completely count him out because, as I said, he's got cards still to play and he's a politically very skillful figure. But it could be the beginning of the end of Erdogan. We'll see.
Yeah, he is a survivor, that's for sure.
He is a survivor, absolutely.
All right, guys, look for us on Odyssey. Look for us on Super U, BitChute, and join our locals community as well. And use the code REALNEWS at the Duran shop to get 10% off all merchandise. You'll find the link to everything down below in the description box. Take care, everybody.